The cargo ship Daegu's Pride moved slowly through the dark space between stars. Captain Hyunwoo sat in his command chair, watching the stars on the main screen. The ship was not fast or pretty. It looked like what it was supposed to be. A simple, cargo vessel carrying medical supplies to the colony world of New Busan. "Captain, we are 3 hours from the jump point," said So-min from her station. She was the tactical officer, though right now there was not much tactics to worry about. The ship's weapons were basic, just enough to deal with space pirates if they were unlucky. Hyunwoo nodded. "Good. The colonists need these medicines badly. How are the cargo bay systems, Taiho?" The engineer looked up from his screen. "All good. Captain, the medical containers are secure. Temperature is perfect for the vaccines." Taiho was a big man with gentle hands. He could fix anything on the ship, from the coffee maker to the reactor core. At the communications station, Ji-un was listening to the normal space traffic. Ships calling each other, stations giving weather reports, traders arguing about prices. It was peaceful and boring, just how they liked it. "Captain," Ji-un said suddenly, "I'm getting some strange signals. Very faint. Could be ships." Hyunwoo frowned. "Where?" "Hard to say. The signals are strange, not like normal ships." In the medical bay, Dong-hyun was checking the cargo one more time. Each container held medicines that could save thousands of lives. Some were vaccines for children, others were treatments for diseases that had no cure on New Busan. He was proud of this mission. In the kitchen, Yuna was preparing the evening meal. She liked to cook for the crew. It made the long trips feel more like home. She was humming an old song when the alarm started to sound. Red lights flashed on every screen. 6 ships had appeared around them, coming out of hyperspace like sharks surrounding a small fish. They were big, dark, and covered with weapons. "Battle stations," Hyunwoo said calmly. But his ship had no real battle stations. They were merchants, not warriors. Or at least that is what anyone looking at them would think. The alien ships were beautiful in a terrible way. They had long, sharp designs like daggers made of metal and hate. Their hulls were dark red and black. Weapons pointed at the Daegu's Pride from every direction. War Chief Kelvak sat on his command throne and smiled. His teeth were sharp like knives. The Vorthak were proud warriors who had conquered many worlds. They were reptiles, tall and strong, with scales that could stop bullets. Their ships were some of the best in the galaxy. "Look at this," Kelvak said to his officers. "Another soft species trying to play in space. These humans are new. They think they can travel the stars like the old races." His tactical officer, Vortan, studied the human ship. "It is weak, War Chief. Basic weapons, slow engines. The crew is probably crying already." Kelvak laughed. The sound was like stones grinding together. "Send the standard message. Let them know what happens to ships that enter Vorthak space." The message came across all frequencies. It showed videos of other ships being destroyed, cities burning on, conquered worlds, aliens begging for mercy before they died. It was meant to break the will of anyone who saw it. "Unknown human vessel." Kelvak's voice was deep and scary. "You have entered Vorthak hunting grounds. Your ship and cargo now belong to us. Prepare for boarding. Resistance will result in the death of your crew." On the bridge of the Daegu's Pride, the crew watched the message in silence. When it ended, Hyunwoo stood up slowly. "Open a channel," he said. "Channel open, Captain." Hyunwoo's voice was calm and steady. "Unknown vessels, you are interfering with a humanitarian mission. We carry medical supplies for sick colonists. Withdraw immediately." The Vorthak officers laughed. Kelvak could not believe what he was hearing. "This human thinks he can give us orders. Send the full intimidation package. Show them what we did to the last species that defied us." More videos came across the communications. Whole fleets destroyed, planets turned to glass, millions of dead aliens floating in space. It was the history of Vorthak conquest, designed to make any enemy surrender immediately. But Hyunwoo just listened calmly. When the videos ended, he spoke again. "I see. You choose violence over mercy. You attack ships carrying medicine for children. This tells me what kind of beings you are." "Enough," Kelvak roared. "Prepare boarding pods. I want this human captain brought to me alive. The rest can die." The Vorthak ships moved closer. Boarding pods launched like bullets from their weapons bays. Each pod carried 12 Vorthak warriors, in full battle armor. They had done this hundreds of times before: board the ship, kill anyone who resisted, take the cargo and any useful prisoners. But something was wrong. The human ship was not trying to run. It was not calling for help. It was just sitting there waiting. "Sir," Vorton said, "the humans are not responding normally. Most species try to escape or surrender by now." Kelvak waved a clawed hand. "Maybe they are too scared to think. It happens sometimes. Fear makes creatures stupid." On the Diagu's Pride, Somian was running quiet scans of the alien ships. "Captain, I count 72 Vorthak warriors in those boarding pods. Their ships have heavy plasma weapons and strong shields." "Understood," Yunwu said. He pressed a button on his chair. It looked like a normal communication switch, but it was much more than that. "All hands, this is the captain. Protocol 7 is now in effect." "Say again, Protocol 7. The crew did not look surprised. They did not look scared. Instead, they looked ready. Tejo started typing commands into his engineering station. "Reactor status changing to combat configuration," he said quietly. "All systems will be ready in 2 minutes." Ji-Yun's fingers moved over her controls. "Sending package 1, she said. To anyone listening, it would sound like a distress call, but hidden in the signal was information that would change everything. Dong-hyun left his medical bay and walked to what looked like a supply closet. Inside were not medical supplies but weapons and armor. Military-grade equipment that should not exist on a cargo ship. In the kitchen, Yuna opened cabinets that held more than food. Her gentle smile became something harder, something dangerous. The first boarding pod hit the side of the Daegu's Pride with a loud clang. Cutting tools began to slice through the hull. In 30 seconds, the Vorthak warriors would break through and begin their attack. But the humans were ready. They had always been ready. Yunwu stood up from his captain's chair. "Gentlemen, ladies," he said to his crew, "these aliens made a mistake today. They decided to attack a human medical ship. They think we are weak. They think we are afraid." Smiled, and it was not a gentle smile. "Let us show them how wrong they are." The first Vorthak warrior broke through the hull, expecting to find scared human merchants hiding behind cargo containers. Instead, he found hell waiting for him. The trap had been set. The prey had revealed itself to be the predator. And the galaxy was about to learn what happened when you attacked human civilians. The first Vorthak warrior stepped through the hole in the Daegu's Pride's hull. His name was Grex, and he had boarded over 50 ships in his career. Humans were supposed to be easy prey. Weak creatures that had just learned to travel between stars. Grex raised his plasma rifle and looked around the cargo bay. It was full of medical containers, just like the scans had shown. But something felt wrong. The bay was too quiet, too organized. Where were the scared humans running around, screaming? "Team 1 inside," he reported through his comm system. "No resistance yet. Beginning search for crew." Behind him, 11 more Vorthak warriors entered the ship. They wore heavy battle armor that made them look like metal demons. Their weapons could burn through steel walls. They had never lost a boarding action. But as they spread out through the cargo bay, hidden sensors watched their every move. Computer systems that should not exist on a merchant ship tracked their positions and weapons, and in the ship's command center, Somin watched it all happen. 12 hostiles in cargo bay 3, she reported quietly. Moving toward the main corridor. Captain Hyunwoo nodded. "Let them get comfortable. How long until the others arrive?" "Second pod in 30 seconds, third pod in 1 minute. 1. On the Vorthak command ship, War Chief Kelvak was getting impatient. "Grex, report, what is taking so long?" "Sir, the ship is strange. Too quiet. We have found the cargo, but no crew yet. Find them. I want prisoners." But the crew of the Daegu's Pride were not hiding. They were working. In engineering, Tejo had finished switching the ship from cargo mode to something very different. Systems that had been sleeping now came online. The reactor that had seemed barely powerful enough to push a cargo ship was suddenly providing energy for much more dangerous things. "Combat power online," Tejo said. "All weapon systems ready." "Weapon systems?" Kelvak would have asked if he had heard. "What weapon systems?" The answer came when hidden panels in the cargo bay suddenly opened. Grex spun around as gun turrets emerged from the walls. They were small, but they moved fast and aimed perfectly. "Contact!" Grex shouted into his comm. "They have defenses. We are under attack." But his warning came too late. The turrets opened fire with precise bursts. Vorthak armor was strong, but these were not normal merchant ship weapons. The first warrior fell, then another. In seconds, half of Grex's team was down. Fall back, Grex ordered, but there was nowhere to go. The hole they had cut to enter the ship suddenly sealed itself with emergency blast doors. They were trapped in a killing box that had been designed specifically for this moment. On the bridge, Gion was still working at her communication station. To the Vorthak, it looked like she was trying to send a distress call. But the signal she was sending was much more complex than that. Hidden in the normal emergency broadcast was military-grade data that painted a complete picture of the attacking ships. The signal went out at light speed toward human space. It would take hours to reach the nearest human worlds. But there were other human ships closer than the aliens knew. Much closer. Package 1 transmitted, Jiun reported. All human vessels in the sector now have complete tactical data on our friends. War Chief Kelvak was starting to understand that something was very wrong. Grex, respond! Static came back over the comm system, then a new voice, speaking in perfect Vorthak language. Grex cannot respond right now. He is dead. Kelvak's blood went cold. The voice was calm, almost polite. It belonged to a human. Who are you? Kelvak demanded. Captain Hyunwoo of the human merchant vessel Daegu's Pride. You attacked my ship. You threatened my crew. You tried to steal medicine, meant for sick children. Your warriors are nothing. I have 5 more ships. Surrender now or we will destroy you. Hyunwoo's laugh was not afraid. It was amused. War Chief Kelvak of the Vorthak Syndicate. Yes, we know who you are. We know about the 17 worlds you have raided. We know about the civilian ships you have destroyed. We have been watching you. This was impossible. Humans were new to the galaxy. They did not have intelligence networks. They did not have military databases. They were supposed to be confused, children playing with technology they did not understand. You know nothing, human. We know that you have 78 warriors total. We know that your ships carry Vorthak plasma weapons, Class 4 shields and hyperdrives that need 30 minutes to recharge. We know that your species has 3 hearts, and that a hit to your central nervous cluster will kill you instantly. Kelvak felt fear for the first time in years. How could they know so much? The second boarding pod hit the Daegu's Pride. But this time the humans were ready from the beginning. As soon as the Vorthak started cutting through the hull, Dong Hyun was waiting with equipment that looked like medical tools but worked like weapons. Second team eliminated, So-min reported 2 minutes later. The third boarding pod never made it to the ship. As it flew across the space between the vessels, the Daegu's Pride's communications array suddenly revealed itself as something much more dangerous. A beam of energy lanced out and turned the boarding pod into glowing metal. Vapor. What kind of cargo ship has military-grade point defense? Fortan asked in shock. The kind that is not really a cargo ship, Kelvak said slowly. He was beginning to understand. Signal the fleet. All ships, open fire. Destroy that vessel immediately. The Vorthak warships powered up their main weapons. Plasma cannons that could melt asteroids turned toward the small human ship. At this range, nothing could survive their combined firepower. But as they prepared to fire, new contacts appeared on their sensors. Ships were coming out of hyperspace. Not human military vessels, those would have been expected. These were cargo ships, passenger transports, mining vessels, and colony ships. Dozens of them all headed straight for the battle. Sir, Fortan said, his voice shaking. I count 43 human vessels approaching. No. Wait. More are arriving. 68. 92. Sir, they keep coming. Kelvak stared at the tactical display. Each new ship that arrived looked like a civilian vessel. But after what had happened with the Daegu's Pride, he was no longer sure what that meant. Who are they? He asked. Captain Hyunwoo's voice came over the comm system again. Those are my neighbors, War Chief. You see, when someone attacks a human medical ship, word gets around quickly. Every human captain in 3 sectors just changed course to come help us. Impossible. These are civilian ships. Yes, they are. Civilians who do not like pirates. Civilians who believe that medicine should reach sick children. Civilians who have decided that you have made a very big mistake. The lead ship in the approaching fleet opened communications. This is Captain Nam Jin of the Transport Soul's Vengeance. Hyunwoo, are you hurt? We are fine, Nam Jin. Just teaching some pirates about human hospitality. Good. We brought friends to help with the lesson. Kelvak looked at his tactical display and felt his world changing. Over 100 human ships now surrounded his position. They looked like merchants and farmers and miners, but if the Daegu's Pride was any example, Looks could be very deceiving. All ships, he ordered, prepare for full combat. We are fighting our way out of this. Sir, Vortan said quietly, what if we cannot? Kelvak did not answer. For the first time in his career as a war chief, he did not know. War Chief Kelvak watched his tactical screen with growing horror. The human ships kept coming. What had started as 6 Vorthak raiders against 1 helpless cargo ship had become something very different. Now, over 100 human vessels surrounded them in a sphere of metal and fury. Sir, the humans are not responding to our surrender demands, reported Vortan. What surrender demands? Kelvak snapped. We have not offered to surrender. No, sir. I mean, they are not demanding that we surrender. They are just surrounding us. This was wrong. When pirates were outnumbered, the enemy usually demanded surrender. They wanted prisoners and information. But the humans were saying nothing. They were just getting into position like hunters surrounding a wounded animal. On the Daigu's Pride, Captain Hyunwoo stood on his bridge and watched the alien ships with calm eyes. Somin was at her station, her hands moving over controls that no cargo ship should have. Taeho had finished bringing all systems online, and now the ship hummed with barely controlled power. Status report, Hyunwoo said quietly. All human. Vessels in position, Jiun reported. Fleet composition, 43 cargo vessels, 27 passenger transports, 18 mining ships, 12 colony vessels, and 15 independent traders. Total, 115 ships. Weapons status? Somin smiled coldly. Every ship reports ready for combat operations. The Soul's Vengeance has deployed its mining charges. The Busan Explorer has armed its asteroid breakers. The passenger liner New Seoul has opened its recreational shooting galleries. Kelvak would have been even more confused if he had heard this conversation. Mining charges were used to break up asteroids, but they could also break up spaceships. Asteroid breakers were designed to crack open small moons, but hull armor was much softer than rock. And recreational shooting galleries on passenger ships were supposed to be for entertainment. But the weapons were still real. Sir, Vortan said, urgently, we are receiving a communication from the human fleet. Put it through. A new voice came over the comm system. It belonged to Captain Nam Jin of the Soul's Vengeance. Vorthak vessels, this is the human merchant fleet. You have attacked one of our medical ships. You have threatened the lives of human civilians. You have attempted to steal medicine meant for sick children. Kelvak tried to sound confident. We are Vorthak warriors. We fear no merchant fleet. You are traders and farmers, not soldiers. You are correct, Namjin replied calmly. We are traders and farmers. We are also parents and teachers and engineers and doctors. We grow food and build homes and explore new worlds. We are everything that makes civilization work. Then you should know better than to fight us. We also, Namjin continued as if Kelvak had not spoken, do not like bullies. We especially do not like bullies who attack medical ships. Captain Hyunwoo opened his own channel. War Chief Kelvak, I want you to understand something. You did not just attack the Daigu's Pride. You attacked the idea that human ships should be safe in space. You attacked the idea that medicine should reach sick people. You attacked everything we believe in. Your beliefs mean nothing to Vorthak Steel. Then let me show you what human beliefs look like when they get angry. Hyunwoo nodded to Somin. She pressed a series of buttons on her control panel. Around the Vorthak ships, the human vessels began to change. Cargo bay doors opened on ships that should only carry grain and manufactured goods. Instead of cargo, weapon systems emerged. Mining ships deployed industrial equipment that could be used for very different purposes than mining. Passenger liners revealed that their entertainment decks could be converted to combat operations centers in minutes. Impossible, Vortan whispered. Every ship is armed. Every civilian ship in their entire fleet has military capabilities. Kelvak was beginning to understand something terrible. They planned this. The medical ship was bait. Sir? Think. How did over 100 ships arrive so quickly? They were already here, waiting. The humans knew we would attack. On the human ships, crews were working with smooth efficiency. These were not untrained merchants fumbling with weapons they did not understand. Every person knew exactly what to do. Every ship had drilled for this moment. Fleet status report, Captain Namjin requested. Voices came back from ships across the fleet. New Pusan ready for combat. Mining charges armed and targeted. Soul's Dream ready. Passenger defense systems online. Daigu's Hope ready. Cargo bay. Missile pods deployed. Busan's Glory ready. industrial lasers configured for ship-to-ship combat. One by one, over 100 human ships reported ready for battle. What had looked like a peaceful merchant fleet was now revealed as a military force that could destroy a planet. Kelvak realized that he had made the worst mistake of his life. The humans had not stumbled into Vorthak space by accident. They had not been surprised by his attack. They had been hunting him. "All Vorthak ships," he ordered desperately. "Full power to weapons. We fight our way out or we die here." The 6 Vorthak warships opened fire with everything they had. Plasma beams lanced out toward the nearest human vessels. These were weapons that could cut through battleship armor. Against civilian ships, they should have been unstoppable. But the first plasma beam hit the cargo ship Soul's Pride and splashed harmlessly off its hull. The ship's captain, a middle-aged woman named Minji, came on the comm system. "Thank you for the light show," she said politely. "Our turn." The Soul's Pride's cargo bay opened completely. Inside were not trade goods, but a missile system that belonged on a military destroyer. 20 missiles launched in perfect formation, each one guided by sensors that could track a coin in a thunderstorm. Kelvak's flagship shook as the missiles hit. His shields held, but barely, and that was just one human ship. Over 100 more were preparing to fire. "Sir," Vortan said, his voice full of panic, "the human ships are not just armed. They are better armed than we are. How is this possible?" "Captain," Hyunwoo answered the question by opening a channel to all ships, human and Vorthak alike. "War Chief Kelvak, you made several mistakes today. First, you assumed that because we look like merchants, we think like merchants. Second, you assumed that because we carry cargo, we cannot carry weapons. Third, you assumed that because we are peaceful, we are weak." The human fleet began to move, not like a group of individual ships, but like a single organism. They had practiced this formation. They knew exactly how to fight together. "But your biggest mistake," Hyunwoo continued, "was thinking that human civilian ships and human military ships are different things. In human space, every merchant is a potential warrior. Every cargo ship is a potential warship. Every civilian is a potential soldier." "This is impossible," Kelvak roared. "Civilian populations cannot be militarized to this extent. It violates every galactic treaty." "We signed no treaties," replied Captain Nam Jin. "We are new to your galaxy, remember? We do not know your rules. We only know our own." "And what are your rules?" Captain Hyunwoo's voice was cold as space. "Attack one of us and you fight all of us. Threaten human civilians and you face human fury. Try to steal medicine from sick children, and you learn why humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy when we are angry." Kelvak looked at his tactical display and saw his death approaching from 100 different directions. He had expected to find easy prey. Instead, he had found predators disguised as prey. The galaxy was about to learn a new lesson about humanity. They were not the weak newcomers they appeared to be. They were something much more dangerous. A species that had learned to hide their fangs until it was too late for their enemies to run. The space around the Vorthak ships became a storm of weapons fire, but it was not the chaotic battle that Kelvak expected. The humans fought with a precision that spoke of years of planning and training. Captain Minji of the Soul's Pride coordinated her attack with 3 other cargo ships. Their missiles struck Kelvak's flagship at exactly the same moment, overwhelming its shields with mathematical precision. The Vorthak armor held, but cracks appeared in the hull. "Impossible," Vortan gasped. "They fight like a military fleet, not civilians." War Chief Kelvak was beginning to understand the horrible truth. "Because they are a military fleet. Every human ship is military. They just hide it behind cargo containers and passenger cabins." On the Daegu's Pride, Somin was proving this point. Her tactical station looked simple, but it contained military-grade computers that could track every ship in the battle at once. She was not just a cargo ship's tactical officer. She was a fleet coordinator with real military training. "Human vessels, this is tactical coordination," she said calmly. "Target priority is the Vorthak command ship, Pattern 7 Alpha. Execute in 10 seconds. Across the human fleet, captains acknowledged the order. They knew Pattern 7 Alpha. They had practiced it many times. It was designed specifically for destroying larger, more heavily armed enemies through coordinated attacks. "Wait," Kelvak said as understanding hit him. "If they have practiced battle formations, if they have coordinated tactics, how long have they been preparing for this?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Yuna, the cook from the Daegu's Pride, had been monitoring Vorthak communications. Her gentle kitchen had turned out to contain some very advanced listening equipment. "War Chief Kelvak, she said sweetly over the comm system. "We have been tracking your people for 6 months. Every ship you attacked, every world you raided, every innocent person you killed, we know everything about you. You are a cook." "I am. I make excellent soup. I also used to work for human intelligence before I retired. Funny thing about human retirement, we never really stop working." This was the revelation that broke Kelvac's understanding of the universe. The humans had not just militarized their cargo ships, they had militarized their entire civilization. Retired spies became cooks on merchant vessels, former soldiers became engineers, ex-military officers became cargo ship captains. Tejo proved this point by activating systems that should not exist. The Daigu's Pride's cargo containers opened to reveal missile launchers. The medical supplies included military-grade explosives disguised as medicine containers. The civilian reactor suddenly provided enough power to run a battleship's weapons. "Engineering report," Captain Hyunwoo requested. "All combat systems online," Tejo replied. "Disguised weapons fully deployed. Reactor at 120%. Military emergency power available for 6 hours. 120%? Kelvac had heard this. "Civilian reactors cannot run at those levels. Civilian reactors cannot," agreed Hyunwoo. "Good thing this is not a civilian reactor. It is a military power plant disguised as a civilian reactor. Just like this is not a medical ship. It is a warship disguised as a medical ship." The battle turned into a demonstration of human military philosophy. Where other species built separate, civilian and military fleets, humans had created something entirely new. A civilian fleet that was also a military fleet. Captain Nam Jin's Soul's Vengeance showed how this worked. It looked like a cargo transport, and it really was a cargo transport. It carried trade goods between human worlds, but it also carried weapons systems that could be deployed in minutes. Its crew really were merchants and traders. They were also trained soldiers. "Kelvac," Namjin said over the comm, "you want to know the difference between humans and other species? Other species have soldiers and civilians. We just have humans. Some of us farm, some of us fight. Most of us do both." The mining ship Busan's hammer demonstrated this perfectly. Its captain, Wu Jin, had been carving asteroids apart just 3 days ago. Now he was using the same equipment to carve apart Vorthak warships. "Mining charge targeted at enemy engineering section," he reported calmly. "These rocks are tougher than your hull armor." The explosion that followed proved his point. Kelvac's second ship lost power as its engine section was blown apart by equipment designed to crack open moons. "Sir," Vortan said desperately, "we have lost the terror of worlds. The humans are coordinating their attacks too well. We cannot fight them all. Then we run," Kelvac ordered. "All ships, emergency hyperspace jump, random coordinates." But as his ships tried to escape, they discovered another human surprise. The passenger liner New Soul had deployed something that looked like entertainment equipment, but worked like a hyperspace jammer. Captain Sujin, a grandmother who had been taking colonists to New Busan, smiled as she reported, "Hyperspace jump. Prevented. The pirates are not going anywhere." "You are a passenger ship captain," Kelvac screamed. "I am also a grandmother whose grandchildren live on worlds that your people have attacked," Sujin replied coldly. "Did you think we would not take this personally?" This was the moment when Kelvac truly understood what he was facing. This was not just a military operation disguised as civilian shipping. This was an entire civilization that had decided to go to war with his people. Every human in the fleet had a personal reason to be there. Captain Hyunwoo opened a fleet-wide channel. "All human vessels, this is command coordination. Execute Protocol 9, total elimination." Protocol 9 confirmed, came back from over 100 ships. "What is Protocol 9? Vortan asked in terror. Somin answered him. "Protocol 9 means no survivors, no prisoners, no mercy. You attacked a medical ship, War Chief. You threatened to steal medicine from sick children. You made this personal." The human ships moved into their final attack formation. It was beautiful and terrible, like a dance of death performed by angels. Every captain knew their part. Every ship moved with perfect timing. "You see, War Chief," Captain Hyunwoo said conversationally, "other species might have accepted your threats. They might have negotiated. They might have paid your ransom and let you go to attack someone else." The weapons fire intensified. Kelvac's shields were failing. His ships were being destroyed one by farmers and merchants and grandmothers who fought like professional soldiers. But we are humans. We do not negotiate with pirates. We do not pay ransoms to bullies. We do not let people who hurt children, Escape to hurt more children. Kelvac's flagship shook as another coordinated attack struck home. His bridge was filling with smoke. Half his crew was dead or wounded. Instead, Hyunwoo continued, we turn our entire civilization into a weapon, pointed at anyone who threatens innocent people. Every human ship becomes a warship. Every human crew becomes soldiers. Every human citizen becomes a warrior when they need to be. This is madness, Kelvac gasped. No, replied Captain Namjin. This is humanity. We are peaceful because we choose to be peaceful. We are merchants because we like to trade. We are farmers because we enjoy growing things. But when someone attacks our ships and threatens our children, we become something much more dangerous. What? Kelvac asked, though he already knew he would not live to hear the answer. We become angry. The final coordinated attack came from all directions at once. Over 100 human ships fired as one, their weapons guided by tactical computers that had calculated the perfect moment to strike. War Chief Kelvac's flagship exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from 3 light-years away. His remaining ships lasted only seconds longer. In less than an hour, the entire Vorthak raiding fleet had been destroyed by what any outside observer would have called a group of civilian merchants. The humans had shown the galaxy something new, a species where there was no real difference between civilian and military, between peace and war, between mercy and fury. They were whatever they needed to be. The explosion that destroyed War Chief Kelvac's flagship lit up space like a small sun. The remaining Vorthak ships lasted only minutes longer, torn apart by weapons that should not have existed on civilian vessels. When the light faded, nothing remained of the Vorthak raiding fleet except glowing debris and radiation. But the human ships did not celebrate. They did not cheer or make victory speeches. Instead, they went to work with calm efficiency that was somehow more frightening than any battle cry. All vessels, this is Fleet Command, Captain Namjin announced. Begin evidence collection, full documentation protocol. Nothing gets missed. Across the fleet, humans began the careful process of recording everything. Every piece of wreckage was scanned and catalogued. Every communication was saved and analyzed. The battle had lasted less than 2 hours, but the documentation would take days. Captain Hyunwoo watched the work from his bridge. So Min was already preparing files that would be sent to every human world and every alien government. Taiho was collecting technical data on Vorthak weapons and ships. Jian was recording testimony from crew members who had fought in the battle. Captain, Somin reported, we have complete records of the engagement. 6 Vorthak heavy raiders. Total crew of 423. All destroyed. No survivors. Good. Make sure copies reach every human colony within 48 hours. I want every merchant captain to know what happened here. But the documentation was not just for human consumption. On ships throughout the fleet, alien languages specialists were preparing translations. The story of this battle would reach every species in the galaxy within weeks. Captain Su Jin of the passenger liner New Seoul was working on something else entirely. Her ship's communications array was already sending detailed reports to human intelligence services throughout the galaxy. This had not been just a battle. It had been an intelligence operation designed to learn everything possible about Vorthak, capabilities and tactics. Data package transmitted, she reported to the fleet. Command will have complete analysis of Vorthak military doctrine within 6 hours. This was when the true scope of human planning became clear. The battle had not been just about destroying one raiding fleet. It had been about gathering information that would help destroy the entire Vorthak threat. On the mining ship Busan's Hammer, Captain Wu Jin was already plotting courses to known Vorthak bases. His mining equipment could be used for much more than cracking asteroids. With the intelligence gathered from today's battle, human mining ships could visit Vorthak worlds and do some very aggressive mining operations. Fleet Command, Wu Jin reported, request permission to begin extended mining operations in Vorthak space. Permission granted, Namjin replied. Make sure the mining is thorough. Anyone listening would have thought they were discussing asteroid mining. But Wu Jin's smile was cold and hard as he began planning the destruction of Vorthak military installations. The passenger ship Daegu's Hope was already changing course toward the nearest alien trading post. Captain Young Soo had a cargo hold, full of very unhappy Vorthak prisoners, the crews of ships that the raiders had captured before attacking the Daegu's Pride. These prisoners would be returned to their home worlds with a very specific message. Tell your governments, Young Soo would say when he dropped them off, that humans do not forget. We do not forgive attacks on medical ships, and we have very long memories. But the most important work was being done by the cargo ship's souls. Dream. Captain Kyung-ho had spent the battle recording everything for a different purpose entirely. His recordings would become a documentary that would be shown to every alien species in the galaxy. Scene 47 complete, Kyung-ho reported to his crew. Close-up shots of Vorthak weapons failing to penetrate human civilian ship armor. This will be very educational for anyone thinking about attacking human merchants. The documentary would have a simple title, What Happens When You Attack Human Civilians. It would become required viewing in alien military academies across the galaxy. As the human fleet finished its work, new ships began arriving. These were not the merchant vessels and passenger liners that had fought the battle. These were sleek, dangerous-looking craft that made no attempt to hide their military nature. Captain Namjin smiled as he watched them arrive. Ah, the cavalry has finally shown up. The lead ship was the human destroyer Inchin's Fury, commanded by Admiral Song-mi. Her ship had not been needed for the battle, but she had come anyway with a small fleet of military vessels. Fleet Command, this is Admiral Song-mi, came the crisp military voice. Situation report, please. Situation resolved, Admiral. 6. Vorthak raiders eliminated with no human casualties. Complete documentation in progress. Outstanding work, Captain Namjin. Military Command is very impressed with the civilian response. Thank you, Admiral, but we prefer citizen response. There is no real difference between our civilians and military. We are all humans defending human space. Admiral Song-mi's laugh carried approval. Understood, Captain. The Navy will take over cleanup operations. Your people have done enough for one day. But even as the military ships took over, the civilian fleet was already making plans for what came next. This had been more than just a battle. It had been a test of human doctrine and capabilities. And the test had been passed perfectly. Captain, Minji of the cargo ship Soul's Pride was already plotting her next trade route. It would take her through 3 systems where Vorthak raiders had been reported. Her cargo hold would be full of perfectly legitimate trade goods. Her hidden weapons would be ready for anyone foolish enough to attack a human merchant. The mining ship Busan's Glory was scheduling routine maintenance stops at uninhabited systems near Vorthak space. Captain Dong Ho would be doing some very careful scanning of those systems. If Vorthak ships were using them as bases, that information would be shared with human military planners. The passenger liner New Seoul would be taking a cruise through neutral space, carrying tourists who wanted to see the beautiful nebulae near the galactic rim. Captain Sujin's passengers would enjoy the sights while the ship's sensors gathered detailed intelligence on alien shipping patterns. Every human ship in the fleet was already planning their next moves in what had become an undeclared war against piracy in general and the Vorthak Syndicate in particular. Captain Hyunwoo, Admiral Song-mi called from her destroyer. Military Command has a question for you. Yes, Admiral? How long have your people been planning this operation? Hyunwoo smiled. What operation, Admiral? We were just carrying medical supplies to New Busan when we were attacked by pirates. Everything that happened after that was just standard human merchant protocol. Standard protocol? When someone attacks a human medical ship, every human in the sector comes to help. When pirates threaten to steal medicine from sick children, we get angry. When we get angry, we stop being merchants and become warriors. It is what humans do. Admiral Song-mi understood. This had not been a military operation planned by human high command. It had been a spontaneous response by human civilians who had decided that the Vorthak threat needed to be eliminated. The galaxy was about to learn that humans did not have a military and a civilian population. They had 12 billion humans who could become either merchants or warriors as needed, and when they were angry, they were all warriors. The Vorthak Syndicate had attacked one human medical ship. In response, human civilization had just declared war on them, and human civilization never lost. 3 months after the destruction of War Chief Kelvak's raiding fleet, the Vorthak Syndicate was dying. Not from military invasion or political pressure, but from something much simpler: fear. The news had spread across the galaxy with the speed of hyperspace communications. Every species, every government, every pirate organization had seen the recordings. A human medical ship had been attacked. Within hours, over 100 human civilian vessels had appeared and destroyed the attackers completely. But the recordings showed something more disturbing than just one battle. They showed that human civilization was not what it appeared to be. Every merchant ship could become a warship. Every civilian crew could become soldiers. Every peaceful trader could become a deadly warrior when the situation demanded it. In the Vorthak capital city of Scarthon, Supreme War Chief Drakmor sat in his command chamber and watched the recordings for the 100th time. His massive claws tapped nervously against his throne as he studied the tactical data. "This makes no sense," he growled to his advisors. "How can a species militarize their entire civilian population without anyone noticing?" His intelligence chief, a scarred veteran named Gortain, had been asking the same question for weeks. "Supreme War Chief, we have studied every human world. They have normal cities, normal farms, normal businesses, but somehow they also have the ability to turn every civilian into a soldier at a moment's notice. And their ships? Every cargo vessel we have scanned appears to be exactly what it claims to be, but the technical analysis from Kelvac's battle suggests that they all carry hidden military systems. We cannot tell which ships are dangerous and which are harmless." This was the genius of human strategy. By making every civilian ship potentially military, they had made it impossible for enemies to identify safe targets. Attack any human vessel, and you might be attacking a disguised warship crewed by trained killers. The result was predictable. Vorthak raids on human shipping had stopped completely. No war chief wanted to be the next Kelvac, but the effects went far beyond just human space. "Sir," reported another advisor, "we are receiving reports from across our territory. Raiding, fleets are refusing missions. They say if humans can disguise military ships as medical vessels, then any ship could be a trap. Cowards." "Perhaps, but they have a point. Look at the tactical analysis. The humans did not just win that battle, they won it perfectly. No human casualties. Complete destruction of our forces. Perfect coordination between over 100 ships. This suggests planning and training that goes far beyond what any civilian population should possess." Drakmor stood and walked to the great window that overlooked his capital city. Scarthan had been built with the wealth taken from 1,000 conquered worlds. Vorthak power was based on the simple principle that other species would surrender, rather than fight. But humans did not surrender. They pretended to be weak until it was too late for their enemies to escape. "Supreme War Chief," Gortain said quietly, "we have another problem. 3 more species have withdrawn from the Syndicate. They say they no longer wish to participate in raids that might provoke human retaliation." "Which species?" "The Kalari, the Vost Collective, and the Rithian Empire. That leaves us with only 4 allied species still willing to participate in raiding operations." The Vorthak Syndicate had once commanded the loyalty of over 20 species. They had ruled through fear and superior firepower. But fear was a weapon that could be turned against those who used it. And the humans had shown the galaxy that the Vorthak could be defeated. What do our remaining allies say about the human threat? They want to avoid human space entirely. They suggest we focus on safer targets in the Outer Rim. Safer targets? We are Vorthak, we do not hide from soft-skinned mammals. But even as Drakmor spoke, he knew that everything had changed. The recordings from Kelvac's final battle had done more than document a military engagement. They had revealed the true nature of human civilization. Captain Hyunwoo's final message to War Chief Kelvac had been broadcast to every world in the galaxy. "You expected fear, but faced oblivion. Tell your gods that humanity does not forgive attacks on civilians." The message had been heard and understood. On the human colony world of New Busan, the medical supplies from the Daigu's Pride had arrived safely. Dr. Park Sung-hee watched as children received vaccines that would save their lives, and she thought about the people who had died to protect those medicines. "Doctor," asked one of her assistants, "is it true what they say about the battle?" "What do they say?" "That over 100 human ships appeared to protect one medical transport. That ordinary merchants and farmers destroyed an entire pirate fleet." Dr. Sung-hee smiled. "It is true. But they were not ordinary merchants and farmers. They were humans. And when you threaten human children, you face all of humanity." The lesson had been learned throughout the galaxy. Attack human civilians, and you face not just human military forces but human civilization itself. Every merchant becomes a warrior. Every passenger ship becomes a battleship. Every peaceful trader becomes an instrument of vengeance. 6 months after the battle, the Vorthak Syndicate collapsed completely. Without the fear and respect of other species, they could not maintain control of their territory. Their member species abandoned them. Their raiding fleets disbanded. Their mighty war chiefs became exiles and outcasts. Supreme War Chief Drakmor died alone on a forgotten world, killed by former slaves who had learned that their Vorthak masters could be defeated. His last thoughts were of the human captain who had destroyed everything he believed in with 12 simple words. You expected fear, but faced oblivion. The galaxy had learned a new rule. Do not attack human civilians, ever. But the humans had taught an even more important lesson. They had shown that a species did not need to be naturally aggressive to be dangerous. They did not need to build vast military fleets to project power. They did not need to conquer other worlds to command respect. They just needed to be united. They needed to care about each other. And they needed to be willing to fight when fighting was necessary. 1 year after the battle, Captain Hyun-woo was still carrying medical supplies throughout human space. The Daegu's Pride looked exactly as it had before, a simple, slow cargo ship with basic weapons and a small crew. But now every alien who saw the ship knew what it really was. It was a symbol of human civilization. Peaceful when left alone. Helpful when possible. Deadly when threatened. The galaxy had learned to respect that symbol. "Captain," Somin reported from her station, "we are receiving a distress call. Alien vessel under attack by pirates in the Kepler system." Hyun-woo smiled. "Set course for Kepler system. Maximum speed." "Sir, should we call for support?" "No need. The pirates will run when they see us coming." And they did. The galaxy had learned that attacking anyone while humans were watching was a very bad idea. Human medical ships carried more than medicine. They carried the promise that human civilization would protect the innocent and punish the guilty. The pirates who had once ruled the spaceways now hid in the darkest corners of the galaxy, afraid to attack anyone because they never knew when humans might be watching. The age of piracy was ending. The age of human protection had begun. And in the depths of space on thousands of worlds, children slept safely because they knew that somewhere out there, human ships were watching over them. The lesson was complete. The galaxy had learned what happened when you attacked human civilians. You faced oblivion.